is Sarah. Welcome to the It's a Sarah podcast. Today it is Monday, June 26, 2023, and this is episode 90. I love to knit, I love to crochet, and I love to talk, so that's the perfect combination for making this podcast. I love talking about my knits and crochet so much that I make episodes twice a week, every Monday and every Friday, and I do that in Dutch and in English because I'm coming to you from the Netherlands. So be sure you pick the right one. Oh, I'm completely messing up my intro. I'm coming to you from the Netherlands, so excuse my Dutchy English, and be sure you pick the right episode because Dutch may be a bit difficult to follow when you are not a Dutch speaker. Oh gosh, shall I start again? No, I won't, because it's very hot on my knitting office. It was a very warm and hot weekend in the Netherlands, and today it's quite cooler, but the fresh air didn't arrive in my bedroom, in our bedroom yet. And when I film my podcast episodes, I always close the windows because it feels a bit awkward when all neighbors are sitting in their gardens. I don't think anyone is sitting in their garden at the moment, but still. So I close all the windows, and I also can't put on my ventilator, because it makes too much noise. So I just filmed my Dutch episode and then I got quite overheated, so I stood in front of the fan a few minutes and drank a lot of water, and now I feel refreshed. But only for 30 minutes, I guess. Okay, let's start. Normally I share my handwerkperikelen with you. I have quite often really have fun. There are quite some people asking me of the spelling. In Dutch we say spelling. How you write the word handwerkperikelen. I will put it down on the screen right now if I won't forget when I'm editing. Don't forget. Handwerkperikelen. I looked it up for you. I always say that I mean with handwerkperikelen, those are my crafty adventures. I don't really like the word crafty adventures. It doesn't sound really cozy. I don't know. So I was looking for another word in English, but I couldn't find it. So I will explain handwerkperikelen. Handwerk means handwork, knitting and crochet, and a little bit embroidery. That's what I do. I like to add woolly tattoos to my knits, especially to my knits. And the word perikelen, I put it in Google Translate, and perikelen means in English. I did a voice. The lady told me how to pronounce, but my daughter, she needed the laptop, so it isn't here anymore. Vicissitudes? No, that's not. Oh, I practiced this. It's really annoying. Vicissitudes. I think that's the word for perikelen, vicissitudes. And I could also find the word troubles and ups and downs. Perikelen, it has quite a bit of a negative something. Vicissitudes and troubles, they don't sound very positive to me. But my handwerkperikelen, they are quite often positive, and sometimes a little bit negative when I experience some frustration or when things aren't working out the way I want it to be, but not too negative. I mainly positive actually. So I found the word ups and downs, my handwork ups and downs, and I still am not satisfied. But maybe you understand what I mean with perikelen. Vicissitudes. What a word. I saw when I translated it in French, it was the same word. I never heard of it. Vicissitudes. Yeah, my knitting and crochet vicissitudes. It's a tongue breaker. Okay, so that was that. But normally I would tell you about my vicissitudes, about my handwerkperikelen, but not today. I worked quite a lot on my Tia top and on my Rumors vest, a knitting summer top and a crochet summer top. And they are both really heart jumping to me. But I won't tell anything about that today, because today I have a kind of a special episode, a themed episode. I want to chat with you. Maybe you have seen the pile of knitting books there. I want to chat with you about my handwork book, because I got quite a lot of questions about it, and it's one of my most successful things in my handwork career, and I will share that with you in a minute. But before, a little bit about what I'm wearing. I'm wearing my Scrappy Spencer, and the Spencer is the word in Dutch we use for a woolly thing over a blouse or over a t-shirt, a long sleeve t-shirt. And in English, I guess you say vest, or what was the other word? Slip over, but we call it Spencer. And this is actually more a garment for the cold spring days, or for the autumn days, or as an underlayer for winter, with a long sleeve t-shirt under it. But I was looking in my knitted wardrobe this morning, and I thought, what should I wear today? And then I saw this one, and I have another one too, and I thought maybe I can wear this one today, and I feel very fine. I think it's very nice. So I'm happy to add this to my summer wardrobe. I do wear a tank top under it because it's all sock yarn, and I can imagine that it would be itchy when I wear it to my bare skin, because it's still, when I get overheated, wool is itchy to me, only then. But I'm not feeling anything. No, it's perfect. This is not, I didn't follow the pattern. Yeah, I did follow my own pattern. A few years ago, I guess maybe 2, I thought, can I be a knitting designer? And I tried, and I absolutely didn't want to be a knitting designer after that. I really loved the process of creating a piece that matches perfect with your wishes. I had found a Spencer, a slip over in the thrift store, and I really loved the neckline. And I had a very strong opinion of the very strong thought that I can't create my own knitting shapes, and I can't create my own knitting designs because it was too hard. I really thought, oh, with crochet I can, but not I absolutely cannot with knitting, because I'm not a good enough knitter for that. And when I was doing this, I realized that I could play, and I could have create something I really like, and that was a very good experience because my knitting muscles were growing. Oh, I can make what I want. I can. One of my favorite sentences is, "You can have it the way you want it to be," and it was really nice to experience that in knitting. I can have it the way I want it to be. I want it to be this way, and I can make it that way. Myself, with nobody else. And that was really nice. So it was good. But when I did finish the garment, I also have the very strong opinion that grading and creating a pattern which other people could understand and which they could knit themselves, that was a very big, how do you say it? A challenge, a very big challenge. Too big challenge. I didn't want to do that, so I didn't, and I have so much respect for all the knitting designers. I did have before, but now I really, when I made this, I really have, because it's creating a thing is one, but also sharing it in a way that other people can create it too with your instructions. It's really a talent. You really need a talent for, and I don't think I have that talent, and maybe I could learn it, but I don't want it. I don't want it enough. You have to have a very strong desire to learn things over which you have very strong thoughts. And when your desire is strong enough, you can tackle those strong thoughts and you can learn it. But when it's not strong enough, your desire, then it's gone. So that's gone. No knitting design for me. It's also not really perfect because when I'm wearing it right now, it's a little bit too tight under my armpits. And that's quite annoying for a summer garment, because I don't know how it's about you, but I have sweaty armpits when I'm overheated. And that's a thing, isn't it? Sweat. I think it's human, but sometimes I think, am I the only one with sweat and armpits? When I am overheated, I have sweaty armpits, and also when I'm very nervous, then too. But I'm not nervous. I don't have a lot to be nervous about in my life at the moment, so it's mainly the temperature. But it's a little bit too tight, and I'm a bit afraid that my deodorant. Do you call it deodorant? In Dutch we say deodorant. Deodorant. It sounds a bit American. Deodorant. I don't know. The thing you put under your arms, so it's the smell is a little bit better than when you put nothing under your arms. I'm a bit afraid it will affect the yarn, but I don't know. I don't have the yarn anymore, and I am thinking about maybe I could rip it out. The bind off is also quite tight, so maybe it's fixed when I do a looser bind off. I also thought, can I make an I-cord bind off so there's a little bit extra space, but I don't know if I like it. I really love the boarding, the ribbing. So I'm not sure, and when I would rip out all the ribbing, I could add a few rows, but then the neckline would be too low. I think the neckline, I don't want it to be lower. It's fine right now. So I don't know. Well, maybe I will play with it, but it's okay for now. So the Scrappy Spencer. I have a Ravelry page for it, but there is hardly any information. So and I have my own notes, but I won't share them. Did I share them in the... I think I have an episode in which I told more about it quite a long time ago. So you have to search for that yourself, because I have no idea which episode that was. I think in that episode I explained a little bit about how I did the neckline. But there are a lot of patterns which learns you a lot, much better than I do, because I'm not a designer. And I don't want to be... I'm quite boring, isn't it? I don't want to be a designer. I don't want to be a tutorial maker. I only want to be a chatter. I only want to chat about my knitting and crochet, because that's what I love. That's what I love. And today we're gonna chat about my knitting book, because not my knitting book, my handwork book, because that is such a thing in my life. It's this pile of books. I have to skip this one because this is a new one. This pile of books. This pile is really hard jumping to me, because it is my handwork diary, and it's I was a person for all my life since I was a little girl. I love to have a diary or something. I started over diaries every time, over and over again, and then I did write a few days in my diary, and then I forgot, and then I didn't do it, and then I came back to it, and I didn't like it anymore, so I ripped out the pages and I started over again, and then the book get all messed, and then I put away the book and I got a new one. There's nothing better than starting over in a new book, a new fresh book. Oh, all the pages are white, all the pages are empty. I can start right now. It's so fine. There are no mistakes in it. It's all the possibilities, all the opportunities. I really love that. So as a child, I had it with diaries, and then, is it 10 years ago already? Then there was that bullet journal hype. The notebooks, the bullet journals with all the little dots in it. I'm quite sure that's a worldwide thing, not a Dutch thing. No, because on Pinterest you search for bullet journal on Pinterest and you see all the perfect, most lovely bullet journal pages, and I really loved those, and I wanted those myself too. So I started over and over again, but every time there was a moment quite soon that I made a mistake or didn't work out, or my page failed, and then I ripped out the page, and then I'd throw away the book, and then I started a new book with no mistakes, a new fresh book, because I was working in all the notebooks and all the bullet journals together with Miss Perfect. And Miss Perfect saw all the perfect Pinterest pages, and we want that too, Sarah. We want such a page too. But I didn't. I was not a person with a perfect bullet journal page or whatever. So that's a little bit of my background story before I started a knitting book. I did crochet and knit already, and I had several notebooks the same, with all and also the papers, the single papers. I wrote down something, and so I could someone told me how to say it. Pick off? No, I don't know the word. When you have a list, when you have to, in Dutch we say turven. When you know a pattern tells you have to do 10 rows, and for every row you set a little line, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 5th you do the other side. In Dutch we call it turven. Or also I will draw little dots, little open dots, little circles, and I will color the circles or do a cross in it. As if you do a to-do list and you cross off the things. Maybe you say it like that. So I had all the single papers and all the half-filled or the notebooks with pages scratched out. Do you say scratch? Scratched out of it, and it was not really fun and nice. But then my life changed with Christmas, around Christmas 2018. Oh, it's actually quite a love story. Yes, this is my first book. Do you see how thick it is? It's all filled with my handwerkperikelen, with my handwork ups and downs, and they are all in here. The successes, the failures, all the information. And with Christmas, do you say with Christmas? With Christmas 2018, I got this book empty from my youngest girl, and she just turned 9, I guess, and she bought it from her own money in the store, and it is a book I have. This is a new one. We have the typical Dutch warehouse. It's called Hema, and that's a big shop where you can find everything. I think you have them in your countries too. And we live in the Netherlands, so all is smaller than I think in the United States or in Canada, or I don't know other countries, but I think in the Netherlands all things are smaller than in other countries. Also, our country is smaller, so so we have that warehouse, and they sell those books, and it's an empty notebook with white papers, no lines, and with a cork cover. And I really love the look of it. And she gave it to me as a Christmas present. And she said, that's a knitting book for you. And I should call it handwork book for you. And it was such a lovely gift, and it made me so happy. So I started in my book. It's a messy book, but that's the love story. I started with my first project. Here is the little, how do you say it? When I was a craft teacher, a handwork teacher at a Waldorf school, we always start and end our lessons with different words. In Dutch we call it een spreuk. I don't know the English words. We always said a little part of words you always say when you start something. And I can't translate it in English, but I will share it in Dutch. Because she wrote it for me on this little note with this, this cute animals. She wrote it for me here. Mijn werkende handen gaan ijverig en rap. Of zij werken met garen, met naald of met lap. Of zij breien of haken. Ze vinden het prettig om iets te maken. I will try. My working hands go... And that word I don't know. Ijverig. Motivated, I guess. That's not a good word. But that's... My working hands go motivated and quick. If they work with yarn, with needles, or with fabric, if they are knitting, sewing, or crocheting, they love making something. They like creating, and that doesn't make any sense. It hasn't got the right rhythm of the words, but that's the literal translation of it. And we always say it, all the kids and me, we always say it when we started the lesson, and it was really a nice moment, and I really feel it. My hands are always very happy when they can create something. So it was really nice to have that in my knitting book. But in my handwork book, come on, Sarah. I have my fingers here. I don't share the names of my children, and her name is here. But this was my first project. I started on second Christmas Day. We have a second Christmas Day here in the Netherlands, and it was the anchor's jacket for my daughter. And I made all the lists and all the things, and I worked on it, and I put little pictures of her in it. And there was a moment, a few projects later, I was knitting something, a sweater. And it failed. Here, this is in Dutch. Failed. Don't like the fit. It's too wide. And at that moment, I had a problem because I had a failed project in my handwork book, and I don't want to have failed projects in my handwork book. I only want to have hard jumping things in my handwork book. So my Miss Perfect arrived and said, no, we don't want that. We only want to have nice things, and it has to be neat, and it has to be a beautiful book, and we don't want to have a messy book. And then I realized that I really want to rip out the page, and then I know that was the beginning of the end. That this book I would put it away because it wasn't satisfying. And then I realized, no, I can't do that because it was a gift from my youngest girl. And she bought it from her own money, that little girl. And I am a big fan of... I think it's really important to show... how do I say it in English? As a parent, now as an adult, you don't have to have own kids, but living the way you want your kids to live. In Dutch I say voorleven. Maybe example living. Maybe then you understand what I mean. It's for us as adults, example living is very important. What would I tell my girl with putting away the book because it was not good enough? That was not something I want to teach her, that you must throw things away that are not good enough, that you have to be so hard on yourself. I don't want her to copy that from me. I think it's very important that we tell ourselves the good things about ourselves, and we live a lovely life as much as possible, also for the kids, for our own kids, but also for all the other kids around us. So it was not... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm distracted by sound. It was not possible to put it away. So I ignored my Miss Perfect, and I asked her to do something else, because then there was a project that was filled, but it doesn't bother because it doesn't. It was a real. it was a part of the process. So also the failures are part of your process. So from then on, my Miss Perfect wasn't involved anymore, and I could just enjoy putting all the things in my handwork book. And I could just tape everything, and it could be sloppy, and it was not a problem when it was not neat, or it was all, and I was scratching in it, and I was putting all the pictures in it, and sometimes it looked beautiful, and sometimes it doesn't, and it was all good, and it was all nice. And after a while, after a year, my first book was full. It was filled with all my crafty adventures, with all my handwerkperikelen. I never finished a book in my whole life before. I never kept doing it for so long, and now I did. And it was such a gift, a big gift from my little girl to me, that I could enjoy filling a book without being bothered by my perfectionism. It was really hard jumping, because this is really a diary. It's my crafty diary, my handwork diary, but it's all the process. All the projects are in it, but also instructions to do things, and also pictures. I print the pictures, and I draw little drawings and some little memories, only handwork related. I don't do other things in those books. They are all in it. And I do have 4 now. I just started the 4th, and they are all, look at this. This is really my personal journey, handwork journey, all here. It's really so, it makes me so proud. This is what I wanted all my life. I always put in little things I receive from other people or for myself. I do put in pictures. And I always, here is an instruction how to knit buttonholes. I write it down. I like to write it down in my book when it's good for my process. When I am learning new things or I don't know, I like to write it down, because then it becomes a part of me sooner than when I'm only trying to read it or look at a video. So writing is an important part of the process to me. And also I have always, my knitting book is always with me when I'm knitting, and when I'm not, I don't want to pick up my phone every now and then, and or maybe when we are on holiday or the internet is bad. The internet is not bad anymore these days, but I don't, I have it with me. Let me see. There are quite some names in it. I will, when I'm done filming, I will make some filming so you can see some good. You can take a look in my book, but there are some. It's my easy, Sarah, easy. Okay, slow down, slow down. My head is going faster than my mouth, so then it's not matching anymore. So I have to take a breath. Okay. My handwork books are really for me, so there is also a lot of private information, and especially names from my family and friends. So and I don't want to share them. But what how I always start a project, I always have the same routine. I can show this one, I guess. Here is also a name, but it's from Jessica. It's my knitting friend, and I mentioned her before. I knitted her a little plant. No, I crocheted a little plant for her. I always start my my project this way. I always write down the name of the project, and I draw some little leaves. I don't know why, but that's what I do always. Then I write down when I start. This means when I'm ready. I started it, I made this in 1 day, so that's why it's the same date. For who it is, which pattern I used, which needle I used, and which yarn I used. And then sometimes there are some notes about how I did it, and I like to draw a little picture with it, and I print a photo. And I really love making beautiful pictures, beautiful photos from my knits and crochets, and I like to share them on Instagram, but I never did something with them. And when I started my knitting book, my handwork book a few years ago, I really love to add the pictures that I shared on Instagram in my book, because then it was really a diary, and then I could look through my book and see all the pictures and the pages. So it's really nice to have a diary this way, and it's really practical also, because I can search for things, I can search for information, and it's just really satisfying to do. I did print the little pictures in the same warehouse as I bought the. Let me share if I can. As I bought the book, but I quit doing that because it's not really in my routine. Do I have a page? Yeah, there's always too much information. Names or pattern information. Let me find a good page. I think this one is. Yeah. This fern and feather I made in 2022. Here is the chart, but I can put over my. I made it in 2022. I don't have it anymore. I ripped it out. I frogged it, but I make a little page and I put in some yarn and a little print from the pattern and also my own pictures. So that really makes it a diary, and it's not. It's allowed to be messy. It's absolutely okay. So that's very nice, the way I work from it. But it's also a personal diary, so sometimes a little bit hard to share. I also have my Ravelry pages, and that's for you, because I make those videos. I know it can be useful to have a place where you can find the information about my projects. And actually a Ravelry page is the same as in my handwork diary, only I think for me, the process of typing something on my laptop is really different from writing it and drawing it and scratching it, do the tape and all. That feels more real than just typing it. So that's why I really want this one to have too. And also, this pile of notebooks, it's really a part of me. And it's really, I hope that when I am not here anymore, and I hope that it will take, that I have a huge pile when that moment arrives, that is here for my children and maybe grandchildren. Oh, those are the books of Granny Sarah. So I would love to have that. As I was watching a video about Swedish dead cleaning last week, and that means that it's a book. It's a book, Swedish dead cleaning. I did read it. I'm very also into cleaning and decluttering. But the book was the Swedish dead cleaning method is about what do you want to own when you are dead. What do you want to own for the people who stay behind? Do you say it like that? Do you want to leave them with all your clutter, or do you want to leave them with your loved stuff so they can eventually choose to cherish that too? And this is really something I hope my children and all the other people would cherish when I'm gone. And again, I hope it will take a very long time when I'm gone, so I have 50 of those books. But I will, that's really me. This is really an important part of my life. And then when I was chatting about that in the Dutch episode, I was chatting about my Ravelry pages. And then I realized something interesting, because the Ravelry pages I make for you, so you can check all the details of my patterns and all the details of my projects, mainly of my projects. And I was going through this book, and I'm a bit behind. I have a bit of a handwork hurry. I think a lot of you will recognize that when you finish a garment or you finish a project, there are 23 next projects to start, because you want to make all the things. I want to make all the things. I get so inspired all the time. I want to make all the things, and that makes me feel hurried every now and then. And that's a little bit of a, sometimes it's a nice and energetic feeling, but it can also be a little bit of another heavy feeling, but an unpleasant feeling. It's always a bit balancing in between. But because of the rush, because of the handwork hurry, I don't always take the time to complete my handwork book, my project page in my handwork book for a specific project. I really like when I am done with a project, when I finish the project with my needles and yarn, I really love to make the circle around, really close the project, really do everything. And I put out my project bag, put out all the stuff, I lay it down on the table, and I reorganize it. I throw away what I don't need, I put my needles back. And it's really, one moment please. Okay, I'm sorry for the interruption. If you maybe thought that I was a happy person all the time, maybe you can imagine how my conversation with my son was a few minutes before. Oh, it's so annoying. When I film, I'm upstairs, and when I film my podcast episode, I feel really awkward and also a bit distracted when someone is around me. And I always tell my children, don't disturb me unless it's life-threatening. You can wait. You can wait with ask me something, or you can wait with doing something, but only when it's life-threatening, when the house is on fire, when you think you are in danger, then you can always interrupt me, of course, but not with the silly things. So I'm home alone because my kids are to school but it's nearly summer, and then they have fewer lessons, and my son, he did his exams and he is done with school. He's ready already, and he works and he sports, but mainly in the evening. So in the day he's at home. So, and that's okay. I don't bother. It's cozy. It's fun. It's nice to have him around. But then I say, okay, I will film my podcast episode right now. Oh, it's okay. And then he, next to my knitting office, next to our bedroom is the washing machine and all the wash and all the things. And he needs to search for something. And I think when I say start to film, it's clear you can't be there anymore. But he doesn't thought about that, and he thought I have to go to my rugby training, so I need that shirt or whatever he needs, and then he doesn't mind, and he also thinks don't worry, I don't bother you, you do bother me, because I'm not feeling comfortable speaking English, and now also when it was in Dutch I don't feel comfortable. That's interesting. So I was a grumpy mom when I put out the camera. So I'm not always a happy person. Yeah. Okay. I know I lost my story, but it's a little bit of real life. You can't be happy all the time. I can't. Yeah. You can be real all the time. That's more important. But real person are sometimes happy, sometimes sad, sometimes grumpy, sometimes angry, sometimes quiet, and sometimes just, yeah, okay. So, where was I with my story? I was talking about my handwork book, that's for sure, but I was Yeah. This is a project page that is quite finished. It was my lowrider jumper, and all the information is right here. And I like to make a little drawing with all the measurements. And here's some space for a picture, but I didn't took the pictures yet because it's way too warm to wear my lowrider jumper all days. So I didn't take the picture of that. But what I realized is that I don't take the time to complete the pages in my handwork book for a project. And when I was talking about it in my Dutch episode, I realized that I do take the time to finish a project page on Ravelry. And that was quite interesting because the Ravelry pages are for you, so for someone else, and my handwork pages are for myself. So suddenly I realized I do make the time to finish something for someone else, but I don't take the time to finish something for myself. And I think that was so interesting because I think it's so important to take care of yourself and to do the things for yourself first before you do the things for someone else. And it's very important to do things for someone else, and it can be very joyful and very fine and very nice, but don't forget yourself. That's not good not for yourself, but also not for the others, because then there's a little bit of frustration under it. And this sounds quite dramatic about my knitting, about my handwork book. That's not the case, but it's the way I learn life lessons through my handwork. And this is a life lesson. You have to be okay yourself before you can take care for someone else. And you have to finish your own pages in your own book before you can share it for others. And again, it's not a heavy thing with my handwork book, but I know, and I'm also quite okay in real life on other parts, but I know this is a big struggle for a lot of people. There are a lot of people taking care much better for others than for themselves. And that's quite interesting, because I think you can take care better for others when you take good care for yourself, because then you have enough. Yeah. Okay, it was not my plan to talk about that, but that is really why I enjoy my knitting and crochet, my crafting so much, because it shows me so much things that I can learn from it for life lessons, and it's really important. It's really nice. But this is my big pile of handwork books, and I will create my own library with all the knowledge, with all the tips, with all the memories, with all the practical things I could share. I could search for when I need them, or just sit down with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and enjoy my handwork history. And it's really nice. It gives me really a nice and warm feeling that I have it. And I'm really thankful to my daughter. She gave it to me because I also found a way to enjoy something that's imperfect. And since the success of my imperfect handwork book, it's more easy to enjoy the imperfect things in other aspects of my life, because I was quite a perfectionist, and I think there's nothing wrong with some good perfectionism every now and then. That's maybe the most important part of that sentence, because when you are a perfectionist always, it can be way too hard. You can't do all the things you do in a perfect way. It's impossible, I guess. I tried and I failed, and that was not nice. And now I really feel as if I can choose if I want to invite Miss Perfect or not. And we are friends. We are definitely, she's not my enemy, absolutely not, because I can really use her when I want to knit something really perfect, or when I want to clean something really perfect, or when I want to, what do I want to do perfect? I don't know. It's very important that I don't ask her too much, because she costs quite some energy. Sometimes you have friends in your life, of people in your life, which are really fun to have in your life and really nice to have in your life, but you don't want them to drink coffee with you every day, because then they would take too much energy, way too much. And that's the same with my Miss Perfect. I really love to have to spend some time with her every now and then, but not every day, not every hour, not every minute. And my handwork book really showed me how I could enjoy the process of imperfect things, and that it really increased my love for imperfection. And so I also always say I'm an imperfect perfectionist, and that's really that's really satisfying to embrace both imperfection and perfection. I can enjoy both now, and that's really really lovely. So that was all about my. I still want to say my knitting book, but in Dutch I always call it my handwerkboek. So that's a bit confusing. But it's not only knitting; it's also crochet. So I really want to call it my handwork book. So it's for the notes, absolutely. It's for the practical stuff, but it's especially for the deeper layer is the fun, the imperfectionism, all the things I learn, and that it's good, that everything is good, and that's really nice. That makes it really hard jumping. That makes it really not just a normal notebook, but really a hard jumping handwork book. Yeah, I really love it. So enough for today. This Friday I will do a regular episode about my Tia top and about my Rumersfest. So I just want to share this because it's one of the biggest how do you say it? It's one of my most positive experiences in my handworking, in my this one of the biggest lessons I learned, and that's why I wanted to share it with you again. And so it's not only practical. When you only come for the practical stuff, you maybe think, what are you rambling, Sarah? But that's who I am, so you have to deal with it if you want to. That's enough for today, I guess. I will film a little bit for my little pages, so you can take a look in my book, and you can see how it looks. And then I will bring them down to my little yarn shop, my little own yarn shop downstairs. They are there, and every now and then I pick them up to search for something or to just enjoy them. And it's also interesting. That is what I want to say. I always have one as a next book, and I'm a bit afraid for the day that the warehouse decides that cork is not popular enough anymore to sell cork books, and then because then I really love that they are all the same. It's not very practical, because I always have to search, is this number 1 or 2? So maybe when it were different books I would recognize it, but I really love it. But I also don't want to have 10 empty books. How do you say it? Op voorraad. We say in Dutch, op voorraad. In back order. No, that's not the word. I don't want to have all the books laying around. It's just an interesting practice when they not having those books anymore. What will Miss Perfect do then? So that will be an exciting moment. But they are still available, those books. So we shall see. Maybe it will take some time, but I hope they won't get out of stock. That is it, I guess. The stock, that was the word. I don't want to have a stock of 10 cork empty knitting books. Handwork books. Okay. I'm quite overheated right now, so I will cool down and for a little bit, and I will see you on Friday for a regular episode, and thank you for watching today. Bye bye!